Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show. Now, today is Wednesday, April 10th, 2018, and we're going to get talking about a few number of subjects. One of the things we're going to talk about this morning is government itself. You know, we went through an age where the government of the earth was royalty, kings and queens, you know? And this lasted up until governments actually sort of taken charge, and governments have actually had charge for a long time now of the world. We're moving toward a different age. The crisis that's come up and coming is going to affect governments of the earth. It's the people. If you were to poll the people right now, most of the people out there think that the biggest problem is not global warming, you know? It's not the biggest problem. They think that it's not global warming. It's not the it's the political structure. This is the reason why Trump got elected. Trump got elected not because they loved Trump, but because they saw him as not being a politician. They saw him as being a businessman. And they said, well, here's somebody that's going to be different. And he also promised to clean up the politicians that are out there. That's why he got elected. Now, this shows a discontentment amongst the general population or the middle class to lower middle class people. They're discontented worldwide. It's not just a phenomenon in the United States. It's a phenomenon all through Europe, all through countries of the earth, everywhere. It's a general discontentment with government. This is basically what it is. It's spread worldwide, general discontentment. Now, this is not going to go away. The next phase in governments actually breaking down and losing control is that they're going to try to buy off the people. Social programs. This also staves off the problems that they're having with the economy at the same time. They're going to see this as an option to create inflation, maintain control, and keep this system going a bit longer. Basically, what they're going to do is they're going to socialize everything, and they're going to go into money creation, a new money creation tool that they've never used before, which is called helicopter money, which is basically, instead of quantitative easing is getting to the point now where it doesn't really work anymore. Anyway, right? It doesn't have the stimulative effect as it once had. All you have to do is take a look at Japan, and you can see that after a certain point, quantitative easing ceases to have any real effect, any real positive effect to the economy, and the economy still goes deflationary. Just take a look at Japan. A stagnant, zombified economy. So we got huge problems here. We're going to have government that is actually swelling in size and actually extending more control out over the people through social programs. In other words, they're buying you through your pocketbook. But this will ultimately come to a conclusion too, probably about 20 years into the future. But looking out 100 years from now, governments will not exist, basically. Just like, they might still be a few, but it's just like, how many kings rule the earth now? Very few. There are still a few. This is the way governments will be, looking off 100 years into the future. What we're seeing is the disintegration and the loss of power and the loss of confidence by the people in their governments. And this is the net effect of this crisis that's coming. It's going to exacerbate this because the people are going to start to not have enough money to go around. It's already beginning. It's already beginning. And what the government's answer is going to be to subsidize the people to maintain control. This is helicopter money. It is coming. It's the next step in what's going on. So let's open up the charts right here and take a look at what's going on. First thing we're going to take a look at is this article on Zero Hedge here. It talks about that everything is going into, because of the way the central banks are working this, it says the end game is not likely to be a 2008 style bang up, but a slow, painful, and unstoppable zombification of the global economy. As the evidence of stagnation rises, governments get more nervous. You get that? Governments get more nervous. And what do? Do they stop the monetary madness? Allow high productivity sectors to thrive, promote deleveraging and prudent investment? No. It says they're going to go into more white elephants, more massively unproductive spending at the expense of the taxpayer. Well, I don't think what they're really seeing here is they're going to go into these more massive spending projects, these white elephants like they talk about, and these massively underproductive spending at the expense of the but it's not going to be at the expense of the taxpayer. They're going to actually start subsidizing the taxpayer as well as going into these white elephants and these unproductive spending. And so what they're going to do is you're going to see that they're going to have to bring interest rates back down. The government is. In fact, they're going to have to bring them down to zero. In fact, they might have to go below zero in order to help fund the enormous debt pile that they're going to create. Ultimately, in the end, there's going to be a transfer of wealth. But all these things are happening right in front of our eyes. The whole shift is actually taking place this way. It's shifting this way right in front of our eyes while we're watching. Now, we're going to go over and take a look now at the silver price today. And what we're seeing here, you know, is we're seeing the silver price still being suppressed. It's at $15.19, and it's hard for it to break out anywhere because of the suppression. They're keeping it just above mining costs. They're smart enough to know that they can't dip the silver price down below, silver and gold price below the costs of mining production, or the mines won't supply the market with fresh new silver. When you go to buy silver, where do you think that silver comes from? I'll tell you where it comes from. It comes from the miners. They're mining it out of the ground. They're smelting it into bars and coins and stuff like that, and then you guys are buying it. That's where it's coming from. It's not coming from world inventories very much. Every so often they have a year, well, not every so often, more likely almost every year, but they have a little bit of where they don't have quite enough coming in from mining supply, so they have to dip in to available inventories that's available for sale. But those inventories that are available for sale are very slim, and they keep that secret how much they have available offline where they can grab a hold of it. And if you think that the silver that J.P. Morgan is holding is part of the inventories that are available for sale, think again. He's hoarding it just like the typical guy out there that's got a roll of eagles in his basement. He's not going to sell at these prices. Got that roll of eagles, he's hanging on to them until the price goes up, right? Well, J.P. Morgan's the same way. He's probably bought in at a higher price too, and he is not going to let go of those puppies. You know, he's got them. And so anyway, that's what's going on. So if they run out of silver, and the silver that's available for sale, all this other silver doesn't matter out there that's being held, waiting for higher prices. Let's take a look at gold now. Gold's at $13.05. Gold's doing pretty good today. It's up a little bit more than silver. What you'll see is silver might lag behind a little bit, but it will move upwards with gold. Silver and gold move together. Take a look at Bitcoin today. Bitcoin, $52.24, and we see the price slowly heating up. It's been slowly heating up for a number of days now. I don't know if we're out of the bear market yet. I tend to think that we're still in the bear market, but this is a fluctuation. I think it can fluctuate between $3,000 and $6,000 Bitcoin during this bear market, and those fluctuations will slowly get less and less until it settles in on a price, you know. And then what it'll do is it'll continue on with that price for a while, and then it'll start to heat up. When it really starts to heat up, then off in the future, that's when we're going to start to go into this bull market again. A bull market is in the future of this, of the crypto industry. That's what's in the future. But how far out? How long are we going to have to wait before we finally get to this bull market? There's the big question point, and that's what I would really like to know, but I don't know. I don't know how long we're going to have to wait until the bull market comes. But I don't think we're in the bull market yet. I think we're just in a fluctuation within this bear market, you know, an upwards fluctuation. It's up to 52.24, which is nice to see, you know. But, you know, if it does drop back from this, an awful lot of these people out there who are into cryptocurrencies are going to go, oh, and they're going to get discouraged again, you know. Let's take a look now at cryptocurrency market capitalizations. $183 billion with a Bitcoin dominance of 50.9%. We see all the coins are up today. They're all in the green. Litecoin is at 88.22. XRP is at 35.7 cents. Ethereum is at 180 bucks. Bitcoin Cash at 302. EOS is at $5.91. Binance Coin is at $18.45. Stellar is at 12.7 cents. Cardano is at 8.8 cents. And Tron is at 3 cents. Just slightly over 3 cents, about 3.1. Let's take a look now at oil, crude oil price. Crude oil price is up 41 cents on the day. You know, it's heading towards $70. I don't know if it'll get there, but it's heading towards $70. I think it's crude oil is actually probably going to be $200 a barrel within the next couple years, you know, looking out in the future, because I'll tell you what, they've went through now, you know, and they fracked all down the United States and got all the oil out, and they've used high pressure steam and everything else. And there's an awful lot of oil still left in West Texas, enough to supply the world for a long time, but it's higher priced oil. It's deeper, it's harder to get, you know. Then we got the Canadian tar sands. There's a tremendous amount of oil in the Canadian tar sands. But again, it's in tar sand, and it takes a lot of effort to get it out of the tar sand, and so it's higher priced oil. And so there's tons of oil out there. There's enough oil to probably last the next 100 years. But the oil, all the easy stuff, they've picked all the low-hanging fruit. And now all that's left is oil that's hard to get and it's going to cost more money. And that's the point, see? It's not that there's not enough oil. You get these people out there who are saying, oh, there's enough oil to last 200 years. Well, maybe there is. But not at $20 a barrel. You know what I mean? Okay, so now let's take a look at the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Let me refresh the page here. 26 points down on the day. 26,125. And, you know, she's kind of poised for a swan dive that might not happen if the Fed actually does follow through on these lowering interest rates and the next round of quantitative easing. If they follow through on that, well, they could avert a market crash. If they're preemptive. And this is where they got me, is I thought that the Fed, 6 months ago, I thought that the Fed was going to continue a quantitative tightening until the market would go over a cliff. That's what I thought, and that's what it looked like. But the Fed backed off prematurely. They did a preemptive back off on these markets. And by doing so, they've allowed this rally that we've just seen. This is what's happened. And if they actually reverse these policies, more quantitative easing, then what could happen is they could actually avert the market crash that was coming. And in fact, if they go into helicopter money, the sky's the limit to how high the market can go. So it's all really up to the Fed, what happens in the markets. It's not up to us, it's up to the Fed. The Fed actually controls this market. By setting policy, they control this market. up or down. And so that's why I have to follow the Fed so closely and what they're doing. So what they're doing right now is they've ended the quantitative tightening, but they haven't yet begun these programs of quantitative easing. So now the market is in a waiting period. And what do we see the market doing? We see it actually going all the way back to February 25th. We see it going sideways. It's going sideways. It's waiting for a signal from the Fed. It's waiting to see if the Fed follows through on accommodative monetary policy. That's what's going on. Anyway, let's take a look now at the U.S. Treasury market. And what we see is the yield curve going more into inversion today. We see the 30-year dropping 2 basis points. That 30-year is the one we got to watch for in this yield curve inversion, because it's dropped 2 basis points. To be honest, this market is becoming like a coiled spring, and it's that 30 years the trigger to release the coil. So we could actually see rapid shifts in this bond market once that 30-year goes below the price of, say, the 3-month. I just have to laugh, I have to laugh about that. The fact that the 30-year debt could yield you less than 3-month debt, or overnight debt. I mean, it's absolute ridiculous the way this yield curve is going, Well, the 30 years dropping today, and the 30 years been the most resistant to drop in this. We've made it all the way down to the 10-year, no problem. That 30 years been a holdout. But now the 30 years moving, so we got to watch it. Now let's take a look at the U.S. dollar today. And what we see is 97.15, and we see the dollar going up today a little bit. It's back up into the 97s. Listen, thank you guys for listening to my show. Give me a thumbs up, like and subscribe, and we'll catch you guys on the next market report. Bye-bye, guys. Oh, one thing I wanted to say before I go. I just want to talk about just occurred to me. I just want to talk about Great Britain for a second. I think that Macron has made one of the conditions in order to give them this extension for a year that they're planning today. And of course, we'll know tonight. But I think one of the conditions was that the elected officials, they're going to have to go through the European parliamentary elections, by the way. Britain's going to have to participate. They're going to elect over 70 representatives into the European Council. Now, here's the thing. They've suggested that these representatives, that they take away their power or their voice. In other words, they're not going to have a say in the politics. So what are they going to be there for? They're just going to be sitting there, and they're not allowed to actually have a meaningful vote on what actually goes down in the European Parliament? Is this what I'm getting from this? Well, if that's the case, then whatever rules that the EU makes, the British representatives can't vote on those rules. In other words, they're tongue-tied. They're not going to be able to actually have an effect on the European Parliament. Then those rules are going to come directly from the EU, and Britain's going to have to abide by them because they're still a member state. Am I getting this correctly? And they're going to extend this thing for a year, and then when that year's out, they could extend it for another year, and another year, and another year. At that point, the EU has total control, because they're there, those politicians, but they don't have a say anymore. Then the EU's making all the rules for the United Kingdom. The United Kingdom then has become a vassal state. Or am I missing something here? Or is the United Kingdom then become a vassal state? In one swift move. So if Theresa May says, okay, I'll do everything you want today, and she signs it all off, and if that's part of it, making it so that the 70 or so representatives of the United Kingdom in the European Parliament don't have a say, then am I getting this wrong, guys? Or has the United Kingdom become a vassal state? And Theresa May has created that. Anyway, or am I wrong about this? Let me know in the comments section. Bye-bye, guys.